Okay, Sunday quarterback time. Behind center. You're the quarterback. What are you seeing out of this 21-17 loss? Where does this home loss rank in Husker lore?
Well, for me, it's up there. I was recollecting back, the 04 Southern Miss one was big in that moment because they had never had a home loss like that in a long time. 07 Oklahoma State, and then you got to go back to the 55 Hawaii game, which is considered the worst loss in program history when a club team came in here and beat Nebraska. So I would put it up there, top 5 for me, knowing that you paid Northern Illinois over $1 million to come here and play a game. You didn't pay that money to get beat. You paid that money to get a win and get ready for Big Ten play. Now you paid that money to get beat and put your team in a 1-2 hole where, a thing like a 9-win season, I mean, that's impossible at this point when you look at it for Nebraska. A 9-win season would require an 8-1 Big Ten conference record for the Huskers. An 8-win year at this point would almost be not even thinkable. So, yeah, I mean, it's put this year, Andy, in a tailspin where even to get to a 7-5 mark, it's going to take a lot of work and some wins where Nebraska's not picked to win.
You're talking about a 9-win season, 8-win season, and I think Jim Moore in my head. Playoffs? Playoffs? Yes. You're talking 9 wins? Okay, let's try to get 2 wins. Does this surprise you, though? What you've seen on the field so far today, on Saturday, did that surprise you, that performance?
Yes, because this is not the Tanner Lee we saw. I know I've had people blame me for saying Tanner Lee is it's my fault that we said Tanner Lee was good. I still believe he's a good quarterback if you give him time and a running game to go with it. He hasn't had a consistent running game the last 6 quarters of football. Ever since Trey Bryant went down, they really haven't had that ground game. Saturday, the loss of David Neville showed more than it did at Oregon, where they went at Matt Farniak and the protection was just not there. You can't do a lot when a guy is in your face immediately, and then the receivers have had a hard time getting open and off the line of scrimmage on press coverages. So I think it's a lot of things than just as easy as saying it's Tanner Lee, because I still believe he is a talented quarterback, and I'm not ready to say this guy is the problem at this point.
Yeah, it is a group effort. There were some drops down the stretch. How big, though, was that first pick 6? It seemed to take the whole complexion and turn it 180.
There's no question. I mean, that first pick 6, Nebraska was driving, and it kind of felt like it was going to be one of those cruise control
party afternoons,
sun splash Saturdays in Memorial Stadium where you're at the Barry's rooftop bar by the 4th quarter enjoying the game and catching up with buddies. Instead, I mean, I've never seen people leave here so angry and dissatisfied, just because this is not 90,000 people don't come in this stadium on Saturday to see Nebraska lose to Northern Illinois, and there's no other way to say it.
Yeah, and give Northern Illinois credit. They came in here, played well. They hadn't played in front of a crowd bigger than, 17,000 this year, and they did the job on Saturday. Let me ask you about the defense. They played well, much better than the first 6 quarters of the season would show.
Right. They kept Nebraska's offense in this game because there were some times where if the defense would have allowed a breakdown and that thing gets to 21-0, it would have been almost impossible to come back at that point. So when you're down 14-0 because of your offense, I think the defense did all they could to keep this game a game, and the offense just never could get in rhythm after that early 2 pick 6s.
Moving forward, you touched on it. Where do you go from here? You just got to focus on the next thing at hand, and that's Rutgers coming up this week. But how do you look at the big picture? Mike Riley tried to talk togetherness after the game. Sean Eichhorst spoke. Where do you see this program and where it's at right now?
Well, you have to kind of take this old cliche. It's a new season. You're in the conference right now, and you have 9 games left, and you start out with what I feel are 2 pretty favorable draws. I mean, the 2 worst teams in the on paper in the conference, in Illinois and Rutgers. So you would think, if they're going to get it figured out, these are the 2 weeks they have to get it figured out, because obviously we know the next challenge after that, Wisconsin, Ohio State, back-to-back, then a bye week before you go out to Purdue. So it is not going to be easy for the Huskers going into conference play at 1-2. We said, I think it's only the second time, Andy, in
37 years
that Nebraska has been under 500 in conference play, non-conference play. So it's a whole, now especially when you have 9-game conference schedules, it brings a whole new life to being 1-2, because you would have liked to have just a cupcake game where you could get in rhythm and win, and they're not going to have that.
It's going to be an interesting week in Lincoln. It all leads up to the Big Ten opener. That's next Saturday when Rutgers comes to town.